Well, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has taken her presidential campaign to Pennsylvania, one of the key states likely to determine November's election. Harris embarked on a bus tour ahead of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, which begins today. She'll be confirmed as the party's candidate for November's presidential election. There, Democratic nominee Kamala Harris touched down in Pennsylvania, a battleground state that the party needs to win again this presidential race, and one that her rival Donald Trump took in 2016. Harris and her running mate Tim Walz are still riding a wave of excitement in the early stages. Their campaign and Democratic Party supporters set out their hopes for the race for the presidency. I grew up in the 70s. We had no rights. We were less than we were treated differently. And to see a woman like her, who is not only a woman of color, of different nationalities, rise above all the stuff that I had to go through, it's amazing. Hopefully she will be our first woman president, something that I never thought I would see in my lifetime. So this is very, very exciting. I have hoped for, I have a ton of student loan debt from law school, and it's just I don't know if I'll ever pay that off. And it's just as nice to know that if Harris wins that, she would hopefully look out. Applause polls suggest that Harris is attracting more women voters than her opponent, the Republican candidate Donald Trump. But the race between the two candidates is tight, especially in Pennsylvania, where Trump also held rallies over the weekend, going to take it anymore. During a series of small-scale personal events, Har appeared to contrast her leadership style with that of her opponent, and that, frankly, over the last several years, there's been this kind of perversion that has taken place, I think, which is to suggest that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, when what we know is the real and true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. Yeah, that's what we see as strength. We know what strength looks like. But as Harris lands in Chicago for the Democratic National Convention, pro-Palestinian demonstrators are there too, unhappy with the way President Biden has continued to support Israel in its war in Gaza. The Biden-Harris administration has faced widespread protests in the U.S. over its support for Israel and its handling of the war in Gaza. At the height of the demonstrations, many Arab Americans said they would refuse to help re-elect President Biden. But now that Harris is the presumptive nominee, she's hoping to win back their vote. The W's Washington bureau chief Inez Paul visited an Arab American community in the swing state of Michigan, where a few thousand votes could determine the outcome of the election. These Swedes offer a taste of shared tradition for the Arab American community. Here, food is the most passionate thing that you can offer to people. Har Masri runs Maricides, one of the most popular bakeries in Dearborn, Michigan, founded more than 30 years ago, with many of his 25 employees having roots and family in the Middle East. The war in Gaza is very present in daily conversations. Of course, it angers us, just like it upset Ukraine from being invaded by the Russians when Biden was running. I was going to hold back. I'm not electing this year his overall view about supplying and supporting the killing of innocent, decent people. When Kamala came into the picture, that it changes the vision, and it changes the hope. I will vote for her. His customers, however, have mixed feelings about the Democratic presidential candidate. She thinks she got the community behind her, but I doubt that she has to do more, so the community can trust them. I'm reserving the right to decide. Once they go through the debate that they're going to have. Dearborn, Michigan has become the largest city with an Arab majority in the U.S., with around 55% of its population claiming Middle Eastern or North African roots. Though the Arab American community is both Muslim and Christian, the Islamic Center draws a huge crowd for Friday prayer. It is an Orthodox mosque where men and women worship in separate areas. There are Muslim brothers out there, so of course they're always in our prayers. And I'm originally from Lebanon, so they're our neighbors. Sufia Napan, the executive director of the Islamic Center, knows the community well. The community is very sad and very mad. Sad for the killing of their brothers and sisters in Palestine, and also mad because, we fund our tax money fund the killing of our families. She might have a chance, I think. The majority thinking that they are playing games. They are giving us promises and giving the Israeli weapons many. Here, share this sentiment. Donald Trump has said what he would do and who he is. The Democrats, on the other hand, are inconsistent. They'll say, we understand the difficulties